So with these words, I'll set the stage for this session, and I would like to quote Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus of Grameen Bank of Bangladesh, who said the quickest way to get rid of poverty right now is to have one mobile phone for each citizen. So that is the power of mobile, and that is what it can do to the at the bottom of pyramid. So once again, to keep our discussions focused, we shall be talking about online and mobile healthcare, exploring technologies, like what kind of technologies we have, the PDAs, the smartphones, or the basic phones, or iPads, iPhones, and who are the service providers, the hosts of them, the kind of operating system we have, like Symbian, Android, Gingerbread, and other such operating systems, Apple iPhone, and the differentiator has been the applications. The unique thing which differentiates all these companies from one to another is the kind of application, maybe the healthcare applications they offer you. So we expect to come out during some deliberations that what kind of business model will evolve. Will they be sustainable, economically viable, or they will just stand at the pilot projects, which so many of them are going on all over the world, more so in India. Is it an overhyped application and solution, or is it underutilized solution? And who will pay? Are people willing to download the applications? And who will pay? Whom will the data belong to? What regulatory framework we need to take mobile healthcare platform forward? So these are some of the answers which I expect to emerge out of this panel discussion, and how social networking sites can revolutionize the communication issue in healthcare and enhancing, empowering the today's patient community. So as I already mentioned that we have a now system changing from paternalistic healthcare to fiduciary to contractual healthcare. Now we moved entirely to a patient-centric healthcare, a customer-focused healthcare, which means the customer is the king and all services are designed around him. So he's today's patient is an empowered patient. He's an equal participant in delivery or in receiving the healthcare, and he is a co-configurer in the delivery of healthcare. He is much better informed. Today we know that 80% of the citizens who have access to internet use it for accessing the medical information, and they rely upon internet information just after the information they get from their doctor. And health too is coming up in a big way, and doctors and hospitals, they are all on the social networking sites. So that is one area which one of my co-panelists will be covering in detail. And to set the things in perspective, we must all agree that what is mHealth, because we can take a very generic definition or we can take a very restrictive definition. So we all need to understand what each one of us is talking about. So mHealth is merging mobile communication and network technologies for both the healthcare providers and patients with an efficient, secure, ubiquitous and robust infrastructure, coupled with tools for the assessment and management of patient health status and the support of preventive and patient environment programs. So if you take a generic definition, that will include all wearable and implantable devices and sensors which athlete may be putting on, or we may be using in a cordless wireless domiciliary healthcare. Or if we take a more restrictive definition, it could be just the use of mobile phones with or without 3G or the iPads. So the whole spectrum of services that are available on mobile platform. So what are the opportunities we are looking at? Today India has the right opportunity with 875 million mobile phone connections, 1.55 lakh post offices, 2.3 lakh gram panchayat, 8 lakh chemists and 2.2 million self-help groups spread across the nation. The purpose of quoting you these startling figures is that we have a vast infrastructure of civic communities or government services which we can leverage on and harness this infrastructure for delivery of a quality healthcare, and we can reach out to the last mile. that is the last person in the queue. So the optimum utilization of these networks involving self-help groups and training them with point-of-care diagnostic connected to mobile devices for diagnosis and treatment will help deliver a cost-effective and impactful primary healthcare system for the rural India. High penetration, ubiquitous, high impact, low cost technology, that's a model of telecom industry. So world over there are more than 4.5 billion mobile connections, and of which developing countries have 3.5 billion, and their number is far ahead of the computers. So their number is far ahead of the people who are on broadband or on internet. So that is the power of mobile. 15 ongoing, more than 15 ongoing projects, and close to over 100 ongoing health projects in 26 developing countries. So now the technology is evolving. A few years back we have only text-based. A decade ago, you all know that we lived in an era of pagers which has died its own death, and then we have evolved on to the mobile multimedia, and you all have traversed this journey, navigated this route, so you're familiar with how the technology is evolved. Now what does the mHealth ecosystem comprise of? It is created through the collision of three sectors. These are the health technology, finance, with the backup of government policy and regulation. So on one side we have the health, the sphere of health. Second side is the health financing of funding, and third side is the technology. So they all converge together to form mHealth services delivery. So this slide may be a bit cluttered, but it gives you the complete information to what all use the mobile healthcare services can be put to, and what are the ongoing projects which are using these services. So it can be used for as diverse applications as data collection, disease surveillance, treatment adherence, compliance, appointment reminders, emergency medical response system, health information system and support tools for health worker in the periphery like auxiliary nurse, midwife and ASHAs, supply chain management, health finances, disease prevention and health promotion. And one more useful application of this mobile devices is the education to the doctors, because that's very much part of the patient care. We have applications like Epocrates and Medscape, which all we can see download on our iPads and a mobile phone. So much so the student who joins Oxford University is given some textbooks preloaded on his mobile device. Oxford, the textbook of Harrison may be coming preloaded, and you can view the radiological images in DICOM format on the mobile, and so on and so forth. Whatever application has been there in E format is now being developed in the M format as well. So these are some of the uses, and this is the framework for mHealth Impact. So you can look at what are the inputs required for this ecosystem. Their policies and strategies, they need to be evolved and formulated. There has to be related infrastructure in terms of broadband connectivity, 3G services, now evolving to 4G services, regulation and standards, leadership and IT governance of the country is very important, and not the least, the people have to be educated, and they have to have some IT knowledge. Then what are the outputs? Outputs are the health system need healthcare best practices, network installation, distribution channels, research and development, and then financing. Then these are the multipliers of this technology: ICT literacy, complementary M services, complementary capital investment, and the intermediate outcome are access, affordability, quality, matching of resources, and the outcome is better health. That is the end objective of all IT technologies. So over the next few slides, we shall be dwelling upon further on some of these points. So high level, what are the high level requirements across the ecosystem to realize the potential of mHealth? So first and foremost, there is a need to create mHealth services create linkages to encourage innovation, support for business model and financing. That is what I was mentioning. If we have to go beyond pilot projects, these have to be economically viable. Then scaling up and replication, understand the cost, what are the inputs, costing inputs, monitor and evaluate to create an evidence base for decisions, support capacity and training across the ICT industry, customize content, then enhancing impact on health outcome. So we need investment in health and ICT document. We have to actually document that what have been the changes in the people's health status before and after implementation of these technologies. Then only we'll be able to have a hard evidence and support and get some India-centric data. Fostering an mHealth ecosystem, which I have projected in the previous slide, like we need support the critical inputs like entrepreneurship, innovation, incentives for mobile operators to partners, investment in multipliers, that is creation of e-health strategies, support for mobile money, etc. So having understood, now I'll again reiterate that what all mHealth services can do for you, what all they can achieve. Basically, if they're voice and text based, this is which is in the most rudimentary form, which all mobiles offer. They can be used to tackle inefficiencies in healthcare, provision service by improving communication and interface, for example, missed appointment, compliance to chronic disease management, as a immunization schedule reminder, contacting blood donors, improve self-management and monitoring of patients' vital physiological parameter, providing psychological support and psychiatric help to distressed patients, increasing the ability of some inaccessible groups, teenagers who may be shy otherwise to come out with their problems, and working population to access health service by reducing the barriers. And in addition to the voice and text-based services, if we have 3G networking available, then we can use it to transmit bigger files, more data like images, ECGs, video clippings, patient education through web-based services, and 3G doctor to start offering informed consultation with registered doctors using FaceTime video calls or on iPhones. So over the next few slides, I'll give you a brief overview. Like this is a live video streaming on a personal digital assistant of the clear video and audio is seen, and the patient information along with the video has been transmitted in one of these applications. Then this is a radiological images being transmitted on the PDA format, on a PDA on a DICOM format, and these images can be zoomed out and pinched in, and they can be, the smaller images can be enlarged. Then this is telemedicine on PDA, so wherever the individual travels, he can have in the form of unified communication. So all his whatever is one of the problem with telemedicine is that the individual has to remain confined to his room where webcam is there. But a consultant on the move who doesn't have time from his busy schedule can also render advice on a PDA. So telemedicine will get its scope enhanced. Then a person may be wearing many devices or sensors, and this data can be picked up, captured by these devices. Then it can be through a gateway or a Bluetooth connectivity. It can be transmitted to a server where it can be viewed by his treating physician. Then cell phone as a platform for healthcare vaccination tracker. This program has been started in Gujarat only in Surat municipality. So where the children and the pregnant mothers are reminded about the vaccination that is due. Then cell phone can be used as a platform for disease surveillance, data on communicable diseases sent as SMS from each health center or IVRS or internet. Gets compiled along with data from district and other hospitals. Statewide data gets depicted on GIS map as shown in the diagram to show areas of affected outbreak of communicable diseases. So it improves the response time. So other usages could be as a cell phone. They can be integrated with stethoscope, portable low-cost imaging for disease diagnosis by turning the camera of a cell phone into a clinical quality light microscope that can transmit image of a patient sample remotely for evaluation by specialists. Then there could be applications like continuous real-time monitoring and automatic detection of cardiovascular disease by having cell phone based wearable ECG platform. So other day I've seen a demonstration of a mobile where there are two electrodes attached to it, and the individual who's holding it, his ECG is getting recorded, tracing the scene on the monitor, and that can also be transmitted to the treating physician or cardiologist. So there's an application called PhonoDoc, which combines the phonocardiography. So if there are any murmurs in the heart, they can be picked up, their waveform can be seen, and it can be used to diagnose very easily the murmurs which have to be detected by human senses like stethoscope and by auditory senses. So this is one good application, Text for Baby, which has been shown very good outcomes. The mother has sent SMS reminders. She is educated about pregnancy, when our vaccines due. Such a project has also been carried out in Panipat district of Haryana, where the government has been paying for the SMS and till the child is born, and then the immunization schedule for the newborn. Then our grassroots levels like ASHA, healthcare workers can use it for mother and child tracking, uploading data, reporting on births and deaths, vaccination, pregnant mothers, paper to electronic, direct at source data collection. So, but to scale up these projects and to replicate them, we need proper policies. Whom does the data belong to? What are the privacy issues? How much should be the complication in the key or the code that is required, password that is required to open up the data? What happens when data doesn't get reflected in true form, that is the authenticity of the data suffers? What standard should be put in place for these to succeed? Who will draft these policies? So basically it's an effective and empowering tool even for the elderly. There's mobiles which have been specially devised for the elderly with the large digits, and which remind the people about their drug schedules. There's simple applications called Simples, where it can be actually known how the patient has taken the medicine or not. And this is another innovative application, 3G application, which idea is advertising. If people are hooked on to 3G, then they will be distracting from their activities, which is a common activity in India. And because if there's no power, then I believe the population is increasing. So that is one reason he says. So that it can be also one of the uses in a lighter vein to arrest the population of country. So it's not only at Starbucks that you wave your mobile and get your coffee latte, but in a healthcare scenario also, you can use this mobile services to get a reminder for your appointment, or to get a reminder for your dot therapy, or your blood sugar checkup, or your immunization treatment, or to get educated about health, or to upload some data to your physician, and for a doctor to see at the point of care that what is the best treatment for the patient he is standing beside. So to conclude, I would like to say that online and M-Health services are the delivery platforms for the future. They have made the delivery of healthcare more efficient, effective, accessible, safer across the care continuum for both patients and providers. They hold immense potential of changing medical practice for the better. So again, I like to conclude by saying, go as far as you can see and see what lies beyond. So thank you. With this